Hello there, kids. Today we're going to further talk about speed, distance, and time. Okay, so for distance nga no, basically from point A to point B, usually ganun lang talaga yan ang distance natin. And taking the distance, all you need to do is just to gather the information from point A to point B. So for example, at this point, let's say this is 30 meters. So we can say that our distance is 30 meters. Having basic situations like this, let's say this is 15 meters from this point to this point, and from this point going to this point, let's say this is roughly around 7 meters, and from this point to this point, let's say this is roughly around 32 meters. Okay, so getting the distance, all you need to do is gather all the information that you have. So in this case, we have 15 meters, then 7 meters, then the 32 meters. From here, you will be able to get your total distance. Getting the information, 15 is here, 7 is here, and 32 is here. Okay, so ganyan lang yan. Ganyan lang po kadali in getting the total distance. All you have to do is just to add everything up. And the distance basically covers, the in terms of time, basically just covers the amount of time taken traveled from point A to point B. Let's say in this case, yung kanina, let me just erase this, no? Itaas ko na lang siguro ito ng kaunti. Okay. You can just write the information here, knowing that our speed equals, just erase this again. Speed equals distance over time, or can be simply written as d over t. Okay. So let's say itong sa example natin to sa first one, no, sa first example, we have our distance here, which is equivalent to 30 meters. And what if we have a total time here? Let's say you traveled 30 meters, you walked 30 meters, and it took you roughly around, let's say, 10 seconds to reach point A all the way to point B. So to get your speed, all you have to do is just to gather the formula, which is S stands for speed, equals distance over time. Our distance here is 30 meters, and our time here is 10 seconds. So since it is in fraction form, you already know that when it is in fraction form, you basically, or the operation involved is division. And having 30 divided by 10 will give us 3. And our unit here is meters per second. I already taught you how to get the units doon sa last video. Okay, so if you missed that, kindly watch the video before this one. So yan ang example natin. Even if you're gonna change the time, let's say it took you only 5 seconds to travel 30 minutes. So basically at that point, maybe you're probably running na, no? Nang mabilis. So in this case, even in this case, you are not walking. It's quite, medyo mabilis na yun ang 3 meters per second na walk. This must be either brisk walking or sprinting na. Okay? Okay, so yan ang isang example for that. So how about for the second situation that we have? So getting all the data muna. Adding, all you have to do here is just to add everything. We have 5 plus 7 will give us 22 meters, plus 32 meters will give us 54 meters in total. Okay, so that is our distance. And now, let's say in terms of time, let's say you were running, or maybe, basta, mabilis kayo, or maybe riding a bicycle, motorcycle, or your car. Pero meters, short lang yan ha. Pero medyo mahaba-haba na rin in terms of walking and jogging. So 54 meters let's say yung time taken there, it took you, let's say, 9 seconds to reach that point. So, nag-travel kayo from point A to point B for 9 seconds. So, we have our basic information now that your distance is equivalent to 54 meters and your time is equivalent to 9 seconds. And knowing that the formula for speed is S equals D over T, in which you're going to substitute the value now for your distance, which is 54 meters, over yung time ninyo is 9 seconds. You might ask me, Teacher Mark, how did you get this answer? Andyan lang yung details natin. Okay? Distance and our time. So, 54 divided by 9 will basically give us 6. And our units here are meters per second, which means you traveled 6 meters per second at an average, at a certain average, no? 6 meters per second ang average speed ninyo dito at some point. Well, basically, kasi nga, why did I mention average? Kasi there are basically turns. Hindi siya straight. So, para sa akin lang yun. Okay, pero technically, this is your speed. 6 meters per second. And if you know how far 6 meters is, you may ask your anyone around you to help you measure 6 meters. Tapos isipin nyo sa distance na yan, you were able to travel that far in just 1 second or per second. So, a total of 9 seconds yan. So, di ba? So, yan ang basically ang ibig sabihin yan. That you basically travel 6 meters for every second. Going from 54 meters per 9 second for every 9 second. Okay, so that's basically how you solve for speed. Medyo madali lang. Okay. Ngayon naman, let's try to differentiate distance and displacement. Ito yung sinasabi ko sa inyo last time. Distance versus displacement. Okay, first and foremost, I'm not going to give you a direct definition between the two because I want you to understand what distance and displacement is. Okay. Let's say from point A to point B. Okay, this forming a right angle. Okay, 90 degrees yan dyan. Your distance basically refers to how far you traveled from point A to point B. Going all the way here and all the way here. Okay. So, medyo klaro naman yung distance, no? That is what you mean by distance. So, kunwari, let's say this is 3 meters and this is 2 meters. Your distance here is basically equivalent to 3 meters plus 2 meters, which is 5 meters. Yan ang distance ninyo. What do you mean now by displacement? Okay. Displacement refers to parang a direct distance from point A to point B. Ibig sabihin, at this point, all the way directly to point B. That's what you mean by displacement. This is your displacement. And solving for displacement involves a little advanced mathematics. Okay? Pero sige lang, tuturuan ko lang kayo, no worries. To understand further, okay, that a distance and displacement may not be the same. They are not the same unless they are on a straight line. Okay, bibigyan ko kayo ng situations ngayon. Situation number 1, just a straight line. Point A to point B. Again, I'm gonna note displacement as blue and distance as red para mas maintindihan ninyo. Let's say this is a total of 35 meters. Okay. So for your distance, same point lang yan. Ganyan lang. So that this will basically give you 35 meters. For your displacement naman, kasi nga direct from point A to point B, this now at this point, this basically share the same exact information. So which means our displacement here is also 35 meters. Okay, so that is situation 1. Situation 2, which is can be different combination of certain situations, such as yung kanina. Okay, point A to point B. Why do I always use A and B? It doesn't matter actually kahit anong letter siya. Basta meron tayong initial and final point. Again, for red is from here going here. Yan ang distance natin. And for our displacement is directly from point A to point B. Other situations such as point A to point B. Kayo na mag-imagine ng route ninyo. You know that distance ngayon will just follow the path. Ganyan lang ang distance ninyo. But you know that the displacement will be from point A to point B directly. So from here, you can say that the distance and displacement are not the same. Except, aside from situation 1, you can say that the distance and displacement are the same. But sa situation 2, they are not the same, obviously. Okay? So that's what you meant by distance and displacement. Ngayon, situation 3 is basically starting and ending at the same point. So for example, meron tayong point A. Travel here. Baliktad. Going all the way here. Sige lang, I don't need to use straight lines. Ending here at the same point as A, no? Diyan tayo nag-end. So if yung distance nyo, basically, you go all the way around. That's your distance. But for your displacement ngayon, since you started and finished at the same point, this is your displacement. And we can say that at this point, our displacement is equivalent to 0. Whatever the unit is. Okay? If you start and end at the same point, your displacement is equivalent to 0. Okay? Yan ang ibig sabihin natin with the difference between distance and displacement. Okay? Next week, I'm going to give you several information, several activities pala regarding speed with combination of this displacement as well. Okay? So, ganun lang kadali. I'm going to combine situations for you to answer sa science ninyo involving how to solve for distance. Second is solving for speed. And lastly, how to solve for displacement. Again, this requires advanced mathematics. But all you need to do, basta may calculator lang kayo, okay na yan. Okay? So, ito yung gagawin ninyo.